You're like a 98-year-old woman.
Next comic, give it loud for everybody for Anthony Eugenio. We're gonna have our next comic. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
Why, hello everybody, and welcome to an Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne. And we're here today for the Beekaki finale, the Duel of Fates. We are going to go over both of our Beekaki sets that we did for the last time at the Lawrence, say the name of the place, Wayne?
One Broadway Collaborative.
Woo! I would have butchered it, but that is where we did it, and with Maxwell Schultz, the host, who's been great. So this is a different episode, Mike of the Week, because we're going to play the bits for you so you can hear them as they go, which we've been really excited to do. Yeah, definitely. So first of all, how you doing, Wayne?
I'm doing wonderful. Doing great. I'm really excited for this. This was, as I said in the first Beekaki episode, I was really excited to start that. Here, wrapping it up, I think, maybe. I'm excited to review these and kind of see what we think about what the other came up with.
Yeah, and we always want to just tell all of our jokes out on this so that people know exactly what we're going to do out there. It's just tough because we fucking can't. But this is a joke that we designed for that purpose so that it was completely transparent the whole time. It's a podcast joke. It was built with you guys in mind. But without further ado, let's break into the sets. We're going to start with mine. So mine is called Exhibit B. So I lean more into the actual B side of the joke with nature and stuff like that, where Wayne sticks with people a little bit more into it. It's kind of like I start with people and then predominantly stay with bees. Wayne starts with the bees, predominantly stays with people. So it's like a mirror joke. It's really a beautiful dance, wouldn't you say, Wayne?
It was, and I think Max might have said something along those lines where it was interesting to see how that split went, if I remember correctly.
It's like we were walking down a road and it went to a T, and that we walk down the same path for some of it, but then we just branch off and we go in different directions. And that's exactly what we wanted to fucking happen. But I gotta say, spoiler alert, I think reaction-wise, I don't know if you agree, but I think that your version did a little bit better than mine. I mean, the audience will know on the replay, but what do you think?
So the audience might not know because the sound quality is fantastic. However, One Broadway Collaborative does not have a mic that picks up the crowd that well. So they might not hear anything. I don't know. We'll find out when we listen to it. But
well, tell us who did better in the fucking comments then, because we need to know for our own egos, everybody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If I had to go with my memory, I think you might have been right. I think mine did get a little bit more of a pop, but it was also dirtier, and it was essentially a group of guys. So yours was definitely, I think, more clever. Mine was just dirtier. And when you have that much testosterone in one room, that might win almost every time.
Well, it bears mentioning again because it's my favorite analogy about life is to compare us to murderers, Wayne. You know where I'm going with this. We both are killers when it comes to comedy. We like to be. But we go about it in different ways. Like, I'm the type of killer that when you get into the front seat of your car, there's a note attached to your steering wheel that you read through it, and at the bottom it says, "I'm going to kill you," and you turn around and I'm like, "Ha!" and I get you. Wayne he sees you from across the bar and then with tears in his eyes beats you to death with a tire iron in an alley. And I got to tell you, either way, you're killing, baby. That's the idea of comedy. So that's why I bring it up as many times as I can, because I think it's beautiful. That's what comedy is so many different ways to do it.
So before we go too far into each of our jokes, I want to make an honorable mention about going to One Broadway Collaborative for this. There were two loyal listeners to the podcast, Israel and Jacques. And both of them asked us, "Are you doing Beekaki tonight?" And that was one of the coolest things ever. And when we said yes, they were both excited. And specifically, So one Broadway is 7 minute sets. I did Beekaki as the very last set as I stumbled my way through my first 5 minutes, which I couldn't remember shit.
That was awesome.
I had a really hard time, but once I got Beekaki, I knew it. I practiced that so much. I think I had it down pretty good, but I was still a little shaken up from the first 5 minutes. I might have stumbled a couple times, but
I wonder if that
um,
played into why your pop was a little bit better as I was doing the opposite. So I had my tight five, and then Beekaki, I kind of just jammed in the middle there, and it wasn't really cohesive with it. So I wonder if that was I just kind of took the energy in a different direction with that one because it was a little bit more of a
mm,
forced bit. Because the tight five is kind of all interwoven pretty well with each other.
yeah,
Um, but
that's a
yeah,
good
maybe,
possibility.
or maybe I'm
But
just a cunt.
but the coolest thing was that I went up first, so obviously Israel and Jacques knew it was coming, and when that like 5 minute mark hit, like everyone's like, this kid's fucking stumbled for 5 minutes. When's it coming? And when I started off with the line, nature really amazes me. I saw Jacques' face light up, and he's like,
Mm.
"Yes, yes, I can't wait to hear this." That was cool. It was almost like I was playing like a greatest hit, even though nobody had ever heard it. Nobody in that room had ever heard it before. It was a cool feeling.
Well, speaking of Jacques, he actually has a tag in my Exhibit B bit. So Jacques was talking about it, and he had a great tag about the Old Testament.
Yeah. So before we get into that, why don't we take a second here? We'll play Anthony's version of it. Um, that way you guys can hear it, and then we'll have a little discussion about it, where your brain went with it, and all that, and how we got to where you were, and the input that we had.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in relationships just overall, like the dichotomy for expected roles. Like, what's the origin? Why do we do the things we do? Like, men are supposed to hold doors open for women, they're supposed to open pickle jars and shit like that. Women are supposed to, like, do laundry, loads of dishes. For some reason, take loads to the face. Like, that's really the crux of my research, because I'm trying to figure out why that happened. Like, did the Old Testament have a passage that said, "Thou shalt take thy vial to the face" or something? I don't think it did, but they do, and it's degrading. But that's the argument against everybody. It's degrading. Some women say it's unnatural. Like, you don't see any animals out there taking loads to the face. Well, I'd like to offer this, which looks kind of like a courtroom, Exhibit B. Bees take flower loads to the face every day. It's their job. They get up in the morning and they go out and take a nice pollen pie Beekaki right to the face. And then they kamikaze dive into literal bushes. That's not enough for you? If you didn't know, after that, they go back to their hive and they come honey. So if you guys aren't into that, I don't know what will get you. Because if that's degrading, you can give me the B right in the A. All right.
Wow. Aren't I so goddamn sexy? Didn't all of you have to turn this off for a minute and go cool yourself down with a nice fresca and a damp towel? Well, now let's talk about that shit. What'd you think, man?
So I think you did really well, and I really do like that bit. It's much different than when we first brought it up the 14 years ago, when we were talking about it. But it's definitely much more polished. I like the direction it went. Um,
Yeah, I think it really is a testament to I liked how we did this bit because it shows perfectly what we've learned in our first 4 months of comedy. So the first types of jokes we tried to write were congruity jokes. So I was able to take a punchline basically that we talked about 14 years ago, and by using the comparison of gender role dichotomy between men and women, I was able to transition into that bit and make it a little bit more of a surprise, which in the end is comedy. Comedy is magic in the sense of if you know how the magician's going to do the trick, it's not really that interesting. But when he catches you by surprise, that's what it's all about. So that's what comedy is too. And I think that this bit for the both of us was a perfect representation of how our skills are developing.
yeah, yeah, 100%. It was really impressive, especially it. I don't want to say it wasn't exactly the same as what we talked about on the first episode. It was definitely more polished. Changed a little bit by that suggestion from Jacques, which was the Old Testament portion of the joke, to kind of cut back on some of the misogyny. Um, but I mean, it was pretty close to what the first draft was, just more polished. I don't know. I was really impressed by it. Especially the part that play on words you had. What was it, Beekaki? I think it was my favorite part of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where did I get that from? Wayne's always good for, like he said, he'll say that I try to put more clever into my jokes, and Wayne, like I said, is the Billy the Butcher in the alley. But if you need some sort of cum, cock, butt, shit, fuck, like innuendo of a hyphenated word to it, Wayne is your guy. He's going to get you in there. Like if
Where
I'm eating Thanksgiving dinner and my grandmother's like, "What's in the oven?" Wayne is gonna be like, "That's what she said. It's fucking cunt," and it's gonna be hilarious every fucking time.
I'm just really into the dirty wordplay, you know. As you'll see when you hear mine, I couldn't let Beekaki go. I had to snag some of that. But we talked about in the first episode that this isn't the way you write jokes.
No,
But you just the spirit grabbed you, and that's
it
that's
did.
how we get to the point where we actually got to record that episode. So what was going through? Like, what happened? What was going through your mind to make you write that down and then text me and say, this is my joke. This is it. This is where we're going to start."
So I told you when we wanted to do this that I can't fucking do that. Like sit down and just write out a joke because it's just gonna be forced, and then that's never funny out of me. It has to come from Jesus H Christ. It has to come from divine intervention where I'll just be driving or doing something and it'll click into my head. And I forgot what it was, but I was driving probably to work, and I got in my head that, like, of course women don't like to get jizz on their face. Like, why would they? Like, what the hell is that? Where did that come from? Why do they have to do it? And then I was like, well, I don't like opening fucking pickle jars all the time because you're a weak ass bitch. So I guess there's a little bit of expected roles here that we all have to play. So I just think that if you can relate to people a little bit and having an awkward conversation about why do like people want to jizz on girls' faces, but I don't think anybody knows why either one of us want to do it. And the girl's like, I don't want this, and the guy's like, I don't like technically want this either. So that's the crux of the bit. It came out of that thought process because once I thought of that, I immediately thought, oh yeah, this will be perfect for our Beekaki bit. So it's more like I'm building a machine and I have to like find the parts randomly and go, oh yeah, this fits. And then I can put it together. But outside of that, it's kind of shit.
That is so interesting how different we are with that.
It's true.
Um,
Yeah, you start with an
Nice.
idea and then you just barrel away at it and write and write and write on top of it and refine and refine and refine. I don't have that. Most of my jokes they're refined, obviously, like changed around a little bit, but the like beginning, middle, and end are normally always the same. It's just I change around how I get there.
yeah,
Ghost?
I was thinking about. Yeah, no, I had some noise upstairs. I was trying to not get in the in the podcast.
You're like,
You can probably hear it now. Somebody walking upstairs. I was thinking about that the other day. How I was impressed with. It was actually at One Broadway. You did your California sober bit and how you changed it, and I struggle with that. Like I feel like I struggle doing that. I don't know. I get an idea and sometimes I get complacent with it. I try not
yeah, we
to.
all
I'll go
do
back
that.
and I'll rewrite stuff, but you do that really well. The subtle changes. I'll take big bits, big chunks out of my jokes and change it around or remove it or whatever. But you're really good with those subtle changes.
Yeah, well, there's two folds to this. So there is the one where everybody gets sick of their own jokes from doing it so often, and then you get in your head, or is this not funny, or do I've stopped thinking it's funny because I said it 100 times. but it's still a good joke. Like we definitely have jokes that's the case. Like how trying to have a girl. I've done it a million times. It's not that I think it's unfunny or anything, but I question a lot. Like, is this a good bit, or am I just getting reaction every once in a while? And then you do it and it reinforces it when the crowd has a good reaction to it. So that's really how you know. But you also have to take the cues on the opposite end of it. Like my California sober bit, since I'm not doing that other ending anymore, I used to do a Bud Light version of a bit that ended with, I always thought it'd be the watered down flavor that took out that light beer company, but it turns out it took a watered down woman. And Wayne loves that line. It's a great line. But I did it 100 times and I got a good laugh off of it, like a couple. Outside of that, it takes a minute to understand what I'm saying, and some people, once they do, are like, "God damn!" So they don't really, get it. And before that, I have to get into the fact that I want to talk about that. So when I'm comparing my states, California sober, right? I'm saying this is going to be like Massachusetts woke, and then I say woke, and that pisses everybody off. So I really wanted to. I love the bit. Like the first half of that bit is I want to do it forever because I just love the wordplay. But I always got in trouble at the end, especially fucking Jamaica Plain, you fucking son. Every episode, I hate you, Jamaica Plain. But yeah,
it's been a lot of episodes.
Yeah, like 30 of them in a row. We just gotta go there and do well one time and wash away this stink.
I will say it's been a very long time since we've been there.
I know.
I'm ready to go back and try it. Commanding
You
the stage
drive
a
me.
little better. Huh?
Come drive me. Come pick me up and drive me down there. It'll be an 8-hour commute from you, but I need it.
Drive to my house. It's going to be just as
Okay.
long to get to Jamaica Plain. Actually, longer to get to Jamaica Plain.
I'd
You can
rather
ride
drive
with
to
me.
your goddamn house than drive to that infested shithole where I imagine if you open the sewer grates, the rats that come out, you'd be like, gah! Because they would be like 3 times the size of a normal rat. That's for
It'd be like a
some
rat
reason-
king.
Yeah, well, bigger, but like a singular mass, not all connected in the tails, but in the dick. Like these things are gigantic. Have you ever been to Roxbury?
No.
I went.
haven't.
So I used to. This is a quick aside. I don't even know why we're talking about this, but I'm going down this road. So I used to do carpentry with my dad back in the day, and we were installing gutters in Roxbury. Which, if you guys don't know, Roxbury is a big piece of shit. And it was the first time I ever went into a convenience store, and you walk in and it's all plexiglass, and the guy, you can't touch anything, and he just goes, "Point, what you want?" And you point at Doritos, and he goes behind it, and he grabs it, and he puts it in a one-way thing like a bank. That's how shitty Roxbury is. But what I learned is the wildlife gets like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtled with the slime, because the squirrels were like robbing people at gunpoint out there. They're the size of goddamn Rottweilers. But yeah, I don't. The shittier the town, the bigger the animals. Critters? Yeah, not animals, critters. Maybe there's fat possums, big ass squirrels. And that's what Jamaica Plain has to offer. But not fucking good comedy.
All right. We
You're
got
welcome,
a little
you're
off track.
I'm fucking so tired.
But yeah, got a little off track there, but that's okay. Do you have anything else to say about your version of Exhibit B or Beekaki or whatever else we've called it? I don't think we've settled on anything.
I'm Exhibit B. I think you're Beekaki. That's the...
Well, I'm not Beekaki because I don't say Beekaki. I actually settled on facial babies.
Facial babies. Well, there you go. On the nose as always. There's the hammer striking the face. Yeah, let's take a gander into the set of old beautiful Wayne.
Nature really amazes me. There's so many ways to reproduce, right? We have organisms that will asexually reproduce. We have animals that will fertilize eggs. We have traditional sex. But the one that gets me the most, the thing that I find most interesting is flowers. They're the most aggressive and yet most efficient at what they do. You may not think so, but think about it. How does a flower spread its seed? It lures in an unsuspecting bee with its beautiful colors, its perfumous smells, and when that bee gets close enough, boom, stealth facial, right? And what can the bee do? Nothing. It doesn't have a towel. It doesn't have a sink. It can't clean itself off. It has to fly to the nearest flower and rub its face in it, and then impregnating that flower, essentially making new flowers. That's how it works, right? The reason I find this so interesting is because I wonder, what would it be like if I had to reproduce that way? It would still be fucking hard for me. I mean, look at me, right? I would have to line up dogs like cows to slaughter. I'd have to have myself a little St. Bernard Beekaki fest. Get them all nice and nice and jizzy, you know? Slap on that collar barrel of pumpkin spice martini, throw on a little bit of Skippy, send them out into the wild and hope for the best. And I'm still going to fail. I know that. I got to say, I feel like if guys knew that coming on a woman's face had anything to do with getting them pregnant, they wouldn't want to do it anymore. Not unless they had a mask, right? That'd be like the new condom, right? There'd be all kinds of designer masks. There'd be all kinds of new designer masks trying to allure those young stallions. But all the most popular and exciting masks would be the leftovers from the Halloween store, right? That would be all the new kink. That's all you'd hear on the college campus. Hey, did you see Kelly's new Nixon mask? Yeah, man, that shit was hot. Every time I see it, I want to walk up to her and...
Oh,
Really
my
bad
God, everybody. How are you still standing? I imagine right now you have shut this video off, gone into your laundry room, changed out your pants, tried to start a load, but you're probably, I imagine, statistically a guy if you're listening to this, so you don't know how to use a laundry machine. So you just kind of stuffed it in there with all the rest of the clothes in a ball, hoping that anything that's in the center of that ball doesn't start a new life form or something like that. But that's just because Wayne's so funny. So what do you think of your set, Wayne?
I really like it. I really like performing it. I had fun with it. That was the second time I did it. I did it at 603 as well. I think you did. No, you didn't. You did it. You did it somewhere else first. But
yeah, it was
did
part of
safe
the
first,
Book of
yeah.
Isle at the safe.
That's right. But yeah, that was the second time I did it, and I don't know. I love it. It just flows for me. I did have a little bit of feedback after we recorded that. I shared it with a couple people. The biggest part of feedback I got was from a friend of mine, Nick Tedesco. He suggested changing up the Nixon mask with other presidents. So he was going with like, what did he say? He said something along the lines of like Bill Clinton, for obvious reasons, with his, the sexual allegations and all that stuff, and he had something for George Bush as well. And I do appreciate those outlooks on that joke, but I just loved the Nixon mask with the Nixon impression and motorboating type thing. Like, I got to get my Nixon impression down, but I thought that was a perfect.
Yeah, I remember I did the Nixon impression on the first UFO thing that we delivered from. That was good.
Yes, yeah, you did. But I don't. I thought it was perfect for like the sexual, whatever part of it. Even though that wasn't it's not a sexual, the whatever he does is, it's just a generic Nixon impression, but making it like a motorboat type of thing. I love that. So thank you, Nick, for giving me those suggestions. But maybe I'll try them at some point. I don't know.
The only note I
Anthony,
still have, since I'm not really probably going to do mine, so it doesn't matter for notes, but you're going to keep doing this potentially. The only note I have is I hate when you say you do your Nixon impression, which you agree is funny, and then you say that's not funny, and you move on to it. I don't think you should say that's not funny, because you are shooting your own joke in the face.
Well, I think what I said was that's a shitty Nixon impression.
Either way, then don't do it.
It is a shitty Nixon impression. Yeah.
Yeah, but commentary.
But you
on
know
your
me.
own joke.
Well, maybe sometimes it gets a laugh. The
Oh yeah, I
commentary,
know.
the
No, no,
commentary.
yeah, exactly. But that's just because, like, sometimes one guy will laugh randomly. Doesn't mean it's good. You just got to think about it and know if it's good. But that's my note. You can shove it up your ass if you want. But
Nick, you had a better note. but all jokes aside, yeah. So I took this joke. After we recorded the last episode, I think it was probably 3 or 4 days later. I sat down and I'm like, all right, I'm writing this joke, and I knew I wanted to go with it because a lot of that is some of the stuff I told you 14 years ago. I was like, yeah, you should put that in the joke. Um, Different references, some of which you told me you can't say that, uh, even back then. So I didn't use those, but like the whole thing with lining up the dogs, the Saint Bernard Beekaki party, which Max Schultz did not like, um, but it was kind of, I don't know. I think that's hilarious.
I know it's hard to hear the laughs on the track, but to live when I was there, that seemed to be where your laughs picked up in the bit, like where because the beginning's a little more informational, but that
Yeah,
was where everybody started to get the energy rolling. So you need that
yeah,
there somehow.
yeah. Um, the reason well, that was kind of where the Beekaki came from because that line, that Saint Bernard Beekaki party, was part of what I told you a long time ago. So I rolled that into my joke since that wasn't used. And I started, and this is where the 4 months of experience comes in, where my brain went to a different way. Like, what would it be like if you had to impregnate somebody by coming on their face? Like, what would be the protections there? Oh, it would be, what would be the condom? Oh, it's a mask. Um, then I started thinking, what would that be like? And so I mean, you just heard the jokes. So I'm not going to go over it all, but it's interesting thinking about it now, where jokes are on my mind 24/7, versus the immature shit that I probably said a long time ago. But
Well, there you go. That's good. I like how sometimes you trail off like a lawnmower that's dying on your sentences. That really makes it quite interesting. I did that.
so, like you mentioned, no, I'm not giving you that. Fuck you. I'm not giving it to you. I actually just forgot where
Truth
I was going with
stings,
that sentence.
bitch.
It
Yeah,
does.
you were
I
just
forgot
trying
where I
to
was going with
deflect. You were like, ouch, he's right.
it. Yeah. So, quick note on that, I guess. Like you mentioned, you've decided you're not going to continue doing your version of Beekaki.
Yeah, not never say
At
never type
least,
of thing, but
yeah,
it's not like it's not in my 10 minutes of best comedy at the moment.
yeah. I might continue. If you're not doing it, I might try to evolve that bit. And since we've already done it, maybe that's one of those things where if I do evolve it and I do a different version of it, we'll just play it. We'll just do it. You guys know the
Yeah,
joke anyway, so fucking just let's go. But
agreed.
um, yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I have to say. I don't really have much to say about that. I didn't get a ton of feedback, obviously, because we didn't talk about it much. Definitely didn't get any feedback from you. If you listen to the first episode, I was trying to pull that out like a fucking rotten tooth, and you wouldn't give it to me. Uh,
I hate you is a tough feedback to give somebody, so I wanted to keep that one aside. Yeah, it's just it's again, it's different humor for what we were trying to do. That's why, like,
yeah,
the reason you suggested that to my joke, and I hated it, but instead of just saying that's dumb, I don't like it, I knew it was good. It just wasn't my style. So your style, ended up illuminating
that,
that joke to what its potential was, where I couldn't do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. Um, what do you think about doing another version of this episode with a different idea? Like
If
we don't have to
the
pick
mood
anything right now,
strikes.
but like let's say I don't know, let's say we get like a email or a comment or something from a listener saying, "Hey, you guys should write a joke based on this premise," and it's something that we're both like, "Oh, that's pretty interesting." Would you do something like this again?
I would, but I don't give a shit about what anybody else in the world thinks. So it's gonna be tough to take a premise from that direction. What if we did it like we have to pull from our shared experience in the past? Like, for instance, not my bachelor party, my 21st birthday night, where we went out and went through all those shenanigans that we did
Mm-hmm.
back then. Maybe we got to write a joke around there because we had different perspectives of that night. See, look how much more interesting that is than hearing from you stupid pieces of shit out there that aren't going to give us any good information.
You wonder why nobody comments. You grumpy fucking old man. You're like a 98-year-old woman, jaded, trapped inside
Yeah.
a 30 some odd jaded male.
I'm like Martha Stewart. I get dicked down by weed and Snoop Dogg daily. Woo!
Jesus. Your 21st birthday would be a really good thing for us to. Maybe we do a whole episode recounting that night. And, and then and then down the line we'll go, all right, this is what we're writing a joke about.
Yeah, I mean, so there is the idea of a really challenging thing to do would be a Jim Jeffrey style bit of that, where he is like two premises an hour. Which, god damn, how do you do that? But he tells two just large stories generally. He even has some that are just one large story for the whole special. So maybe this is more of like we can get 10 minutes out of trying to tell this story and putting, chunks and logs along the way that keeps it interesting. And that'd be a really, really, big undertaking.
I don't remember much. I want to say that.
Oh, I do. It's seared into my brain.
Other than it was a girl.
Yep, it was. It was. It
That
was.
was a girl.
So we don't want to do inside jokes so you guys don't know, but there was a giant, big person that I did hammered karaoke with,
It
and
was
halfway,
Iris, I believe.
yeah, which I got the chops. Everybody, I got the chops, and me and this gigantic, massive person were singing it and rocking back and forth with the music in the wind. And I looked over and I was like, "That's a girl."
Well,
And the whole
you first of all, your left eye was drooping a little more than your right eye was, and you walked up to me, and I was like, "Hey, who was that guy?" And you went, "It was a girl," and then sat down and said, "We have to go home."
Yeah, I was in your wedding and you gave me a groomsman gift, like a bottle opener, and it says it's a girl on it. So that is the quote of our friendship for a while. So we got to do something.
Sure was. I also remember, not to go too crazy, but berating, not berating, but the guy at the first restaurant we went to when I put Weird Al on the jukebox, and he looked over and he goes, "Who the fuck chooses Weird Al?" And then he went to the bathroom, and I went up and told his girlfriend that she should get rid of him because anybody who doesn't like Weird Al is a rapist and a murderer.
And well, imagine he was, and she was like, "Oh my God, that was how I could have told." Oh my God.
Oh shit, the shenanigans. Anyways, yeah. So I think that's all we have. If you've made it this far down memory lane, if you've listened to the two jokes, why don't you comment down below, like and share them, and everyone that you send it to should comment below as well, and tell us which one you think you like more. Not what was better, because I think they're both good, but what fits your personal taste more. We'd love to hear it. And if you have any more suggestions for either one, because they're both still on the table, mine a little bit more, but I'll take them into consideration and maybe add them and do it again, and maybe as an aside in a future episode, we'll play a full version of it when it's a little more different.
And who knows? Maybe somebody someday will book me at a show, and it'll be on the fly, and they'll tell me to do more time than I can possibly do, and I'll be forced to do that joke. And if we do, I will show you the bomb.
Yeah. One more thing, I think before we really wrap it up, we both have some things going on coming up. in terms of what we're doing in our comedy, right? Aside from open mic. So we talked about in our 4-month checkup what we want to do. More book shows and go in that direction. We've gone that way. You had the one at the GFB. I have signed up for a hosting class slash crowd work class with Mike Katrobis. That's in. This will probably come out after that, but
It's crowd work? I thought it was social media and hosting.
oh no, it's hosting, crowd work, and your social media presence. How to make yourself a little more attractive to bookers, I guess. At the end of that show, I'm going to be doing my first non-open mic show. It's at the China Blossom in Andover. It's on, what is it, August 27th, I think it is. Either 26th or 27th, whatever this Sunday is, but
27th.
yeah, so that's going to be cool. They're selling tickets. It's going to be my first non-open mic thing. I kind of a little nerve-wracking, but I'm excited for it. It's going to be me and 14 other people taking the class, and I'm sure Mike Trobus is going to do some time as well.
Wow,
So that's cool.
Long,
Yeah, I think it goes from like 7 to 9:30 or something like that.
Was it 5 minutes?
As far as I know, it's 5 minutes. So that's kind of cool. That's a nice step. And then we also got some news on Monday that on October 4th, both Anthony and I will be performing at the amateur comedy contest at the Burren in Somerville. So if you're listening to this, come on down and support us. We would love for one of us to walk away with that trophy from Craigslist. That'd be great.
Yeah, laugh, you fucking piece of shit. I don't think I'm going to get the support.
The other thing we're doing is we will be at the Winter Circle, first Tuesday in September. So,
definitely.
If you're in that area, come on out and meet us.
Yeah, and that's all we fucking got here. Look at us again, lawnmower dead.
Jesus. Somebody's got to plug it.
Somebody's got to. Yeah, do you know what happens when you pull the plug, though, Wayne? All of the essence drains out. And because of that, I will bring us back. Because this was... Oh, look, he's killing me right now. He's killing my energy. Look at him. Look.
You son of a bitch.
Say your piece, you son of a bitch.
I was just going to say, at least I brought some essence. You weren't going to talk about any of it.
Yeah, you shot your essence all into a Kleenex pad and threw it into the toilet like you fucking piece of trash you are.
I'm sorry. I thought when I ended, I had a co-host that would pick up.
Yeah, I would love to pick it up if it was like, when you hit a switch and the light goes off and you're like, that makes sense. I'll flip it on or off and it's predictable. Not like the light slowly dies like the fucking sun as it fades away. And then you're like, is the sun die? Oh, it died. Wow, that was slow. Okay. I'm going to have to get back into this the normal way. I think every episode we've ended with me berating you like the last 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 3 weeks of it, so.
It's been rough, yeah, sorry, buddy.
What happened 3 weeks ago that would make you such a pissy cunt?
I don't know. I think, oh man, I almost said a terrible joke about another pissy cunt. As it relates to childbirth.
Well, let's end this shit so you can tell me the joke and not get yourself canceled.
Yeah, you'll have to cut that whole thing out, but man, it was so funny. Just not allowed to say that. All right, everybody. So we've talked about it. You've listened. You've heard the jokes. Exhibit B, Beekaki, facial angels. However, we're gonna facial babies. I don't want to say angels, but a great name either way. Facial angel babies. Cherubs. Facial cherubs. That's Wayne's joke now.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. Not too bad. So that is Wayne's bit. Anthony's bit. Let us know what you think. Listen to Wayne and send him some hate mail, if you will. He loves reading it. That's how he gets his rocks off. So send us some shit, subscribe to our shit, and just know that every step we take is just a step in the quest for laughs. Bye-bye.
It was a girl.